Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. We are going into game number 6 here on Dominator, and that means that someone has to be on match point. That is going to be Soma, one map away from taking this best of 7 up here at the top left of Dominator. And of course, Royal, still putting out a great series here on the mid-right, but has to win or this series is over. Definitely, we've seen a really nice variety of games here so far from Soma, kind of getting me excited to see what he decides to bust out in this upcoming ASL. Royal as well, I think he's been putting out some great strats. The technical builds seemingly working a little bit better for him. I think that is where his big strength is. You know, the like standard bio, you know, SK Terran, which of course is like Marine Medic Science Vessel, doesn't seem to work as well as it used to. No one's really having the greatest time against the top Zergs with that. So kind of hoping that he basically just gets a quick gas and tries to go factory relatively quickly. But, you know, when you see a wall like this going up, very, very oftentimes, it just turns into a +1 build, which, I mean, it's good. It's good for sure, but is Soma going to fall to something like that? I mean, occasionally you drop a game, but over time, it doesn't feel like it has the greatest win rate. Either way, we have Soma up here, and he's getting his hatchery there at his natural right away, so just very standard opener. Royal going to go out and scout with that SCV. And he is, well, he's checking for the Overlord. He does not see it right there. This is actually the correct place to go. Some people bring the Overlord way to the side when they're scouting. But as you can see, like, see where this one was when his SCV got up there? It was, like, right about there. So it almost, on this map in particular, the Overlord, the first Overlord almost never gets sent in this direction because there's nowhere really good over here for it to float. See, like, it'll get caught if it tries to get over to here. So the Overlord scout pattern doesn't get altered very much on Dominator. Although, of course, that can be a good mind game because everyone basically does that check that Royal did. So might be worth it to have your first Overlord not in a great position, just to trick out the SCV if they happen to be at that spot. So Royal goes up, scouts, everything looks relatively normal there. The spawning pool coming up pretty quick, and he will get this layer started here right around 250. There it is. And back at home, does have a couple Marines that he's trying to send up. Of course, the drone already got a bit of damage, so this will force a few Lings, which will make Royal turn around. And in fact, 4 Lings are being created right now. I'm surprised he's still walking forward with these, honestly. Like, basically, when they see that you're walking forward with 2 Marines, they have to make 4 Lings. And it's a very good move at higher levels. You know, you want them to be making Zerglings as opposed to drones. So, nice move there from Royal. Looking back at Royal's base. Oh! It's actually just a 1 Racks Academy rush. Okay, like, I like this build. This is actually, like, my #1 go-to. It's a little tricky if you do it behind a wall, because when Zerg sees a wall, they kind of expect to see a +1 build. The 1 Racks Academy is probably the overall safest build against, if you, like, write down every single thing Zerg can do, this is the safest thing that can counter everything. It's the most flexible strategy that Terran basically has. So he's gonna, oh, this makes sense. Okay, so what we're seeing here from Royal is it's the 1 Racks Academy, but he's throwing down 2 additional racks very quickly. This is kind of like a new way to play it. When you have a wall, or if you keep your SCV alive for a long time and can tell that they're not making Zerglings at this point, you can actually do a build like this where you're gonna have 3 racks production rather quickly, and that's gonna give you a stronger mid-game push. The main thing is getting range out as quickly as possible. Because your push-out window, you're basically going to miss. You're not going to have enough Marines and Medics to hit before mutas are out, because you need to leave your base. Like, for instance, he's going to be able to have 2 more Marines pop out. So I guess, yeah, he can move out at 7 Marines, 2 Medics. Like, you can do it. But once the mutas are out, you do have to be very, very careful about that. And, of course, you have to block any Zerglings from running in. Now, He is going to try that move out. We'll see if Soma counterattacks with these Zerglings. Here we go. He's right on the edge of when he can move out to try to force a Sunken. And you can see, yeah, already the second Sunken being made. So he's already forced what he wants to force out of Soma. You can't really attack and do anything from here. Third hatchery in the main base. That E-base still coming up. Forces these Zerglings back. There's actually no Zergling speed. So seems like Soma wanted to get additional mutas very quickly. Well, actually, both comsats going up pretty quickly. And there's that range upgrade. You know, range is the most important thing to have when you're fighting against those Mutalisks. Now, excuse me, if you're going to play this type of strategy, you're going to have to keep your bio out in the front and keep that Marine count pretty high. Like, you've kind of already dedicated a lot of resources to getting the bio out at this point, like in a very good number. And having that range does let you fight against those mutas. So, like, you can see he's just moving out. This is making it so he doesn't have to over-make turrets in his main base. So Soma has to pull these mutas back. He is getting Zergling speed. He does already have those 2 sunken colonies. So this is really, really good pressure right now from Royal. Soma, no damage with the mutas so far. You actually, like, he needs to pull these Marines back right now or he's going to lose this army, and Soma's going to gain the lead. I'm actually getting a little bit nervous. Like, he's gone a little bit too far with this. This can work, but against a player of Soma's strength, I find it hard to believe that this Bioforce won't get destroyed. Like, this is one of the key things that Zerg needs to do here is, like, oh, I wasn't able to harass you because you were so far forward on the map. Okay, well, I have to kill the army. And you can see he's coming up right now. He's got 10 mutas here. He's got additional lings coming out. Zergling speed is almost done. I think the second Zergling speed is done, he's just going to pounce on this. Full group of mutas, bunch of speedlings. Yeah, so this was... Yeah, in my opinion, this was just way too far from Royal. As you can see, he does, like, nothing. No mutas die. They barely take damage. He loses some lings, but he doesn't really care about that. It kept the mutas out of his base. So I don't want to act like that didn't do anything, but you'd be hard pressed to convince me that that was worthwhile. He could have gotten 90% of what he did by walking up to about here and then turning around. Yeah, the mutas might have dived in a little bit, but then you just reinforce and move again. So yeah, I do find it a little bit weird. So anyways, he's got good defense. Starport on the way, additional barracks coming up. He's kind of reinforcing his turrets here. He has the 3-racks production going. His building placement is actually a little bit off. This is a very hard spot to build your buildings correctly in. You can see it's like there's all these little gaps. It's actually really hard to fit things. Look at where the turrets are. Huge empty space. This isn't a great spot. Where do you put your second starport? Very, very messy main. But again, this is like the worst, one of the worst locations. This map in general, it's really hard to place buildings well. Very, very, it's like the most cramped mains that we currently have on a competitive map. So it looks like he's going 1 starport Valkyrie with like 5 racks Marine medics. So I'm actually very nervous for him here. This is looking a little rough because Soma's kind of keeping him in his base. Yeah, Valkyries are going to come out. The mutas are not going to do that much damage, but Soma's taking a third, and his upgrade for Lurkers is almost done. Once Lurkers are out, Valkyrie timing pushes really are a lot weaker, and in fact, the Valkyrie coming out isn't going to be that helpful because Soma hasn't overcommitted on mutas. Like, he barely has any. He's got just this small group of mutas now. So it's like 10 total with a lot of them already damaged. As long as he just burrows like as long as he just burrows a lot of mutas, I don't really see much happening. Now, that right there is the vehicle upgrade. Vehicle +1. So we're actually going to see a mech switch. That makes a bit more excuse me, a bit more sense. But it is an awkward mech switch that we're going to see. So he's already landed this. He's going to get mines and just start pumping out vultures. That's very normal for the mech switch. Oh, it takes a lot of damage on that Valkyrie. All right, does a reasonable Valkyrie slide, but really doesn't get that much damage. So a little bit sloppy on the Valkyrie slide. Plenty of Lurker eggs coming up. Another Valkyrie on the way. Oh, I guess I miscounted. It was actually only 4 racks, not 5. So I was going to say, that's like adding the 5th racks that late when you're going to go mech switch is kind of weird. We've definitely seen a fair amount of mech switches on this map. I think it is one of the better maps for mech, but I actually think it's one of the better maps for bio as well. Dropships are very good on Dominator. So a couple Valkyries out right now. Quite a few Lurkers trying to walk up. Yeah, I don't think this works. Why is he trying to attack with these Lurkers? Kind of like a cheesy idea there. Yeah, and it looks like Royal is happy to start trading. You don't actually gain a high ground advantage against Lurkers, by the way. Lurkers, their entire attack is splash damage, so they can't miss. That's why they hit under Darkstorm, because they're actually not even melee units. But again, the entire spine counts as splash. It's the same as a Fire Bat. A Fire Bat can't miss uphill either. They're the only 2 units like that, by the way. Well, no, I guess a Scarab... A Scarab is different, but... the Scarab doesn't miss uphill either. Well, the Scarab misses for other reasons. Anyways, we have a lot of mines being laid. The barracks are all being floated. The eBay being floated as well. He does have those 1-1 upgrades. Okay, so now it's time for the mech switch. There's the 3rd base. Classic mech switch. Like some of the theory behind it is that you want 4 bases and you want to just like start heavy production. And your Marine medics basically have to slow everything Zerg is doing down a little bit. You cannot waste them. There was a period where a lot of players were like, okay, I'm going the mech switch, and then they try to get as much damage with the bio as possible. That's not the correct way to play it. If you waste your bio, it won't give you enough room, enough time to get your mech army to a reasonable size. Because at a moment like this, you need to kind of zone everything back, slow Zerg down a little bit so that you can get enough factories going. And while you're getting your factories going, generally what you see is just vulture production. So here's that 4th base that I was talking about, because again, you want 4 base production. Just think about how mech plays out generally. 4 base is very important. Oh wow, he forces a cancel there. That's really nice. Sees this group. Oh gosh. He's gonna have a dark swarm up here. That's a little bit annoying. Nice. Pretty worthless Lurker at this point. Trying to run a couple of vultures by, and actually does get one in, which is kind of nice. So picks off that drone, slows that base just slightly. So now Soma knows what's going on. Let's take a look at what he's doing upgrade-wise. So getting ranged attack upgrades. No Queen's Nest upgrades yet. Defiler Energy, of course. You're always going to get that. Overlord Speed makes sense. It's for mines, and he might end up doing drops later as well. Okay, does hit an offensive mine. It's only a single Lurker, so really, again, not very hard to clear that single Lurker when it's in an offensive position here. We do have that silence facility. That's what I need for my kids. The science facility is up, so he can continue those upgrades forward. So yeah, it seems like we're going to have a pretty classic mech switch game overall. The 4th base is slightly slow because Soma had that good move kind of delaying it. Not the end of the world for Royal. You can see he's up here at about 70 SCVs. So that's definitely a very healthy number. Lots of vultures on the map. And yeah, do note, by the way, how vulture heavy he is right now. This is very normal for a mech switch composition. Like, you build nothing but vultures to clog up the map a little bit behind the Marine medic, and that allows you to have the gas and the resources to switch over, like to get your factories up, get your upgrades going, and switch over into siege tanks. Of course, you will want to make sure that you at least have the Goliath range upgrade in case there is a mech switch or a switch into mutas or something like that. Now, here, this is a fine timing for actually utilizing a Marine medic. So he is going to try to stim in here, and there's only like a single Lurker. Throws down a Dark Storm that actually, like, I guess it does technically help, and 2 Lings do come out. But, yeah, you don't actually have to run from that. Now, I saw a queen. There's a single queen here. I actually think that this is for Parasite and not for Spawn Broodling. By the way, part of the reason why mech switches are a little bit more popular than like going straight mech. Straight mech gives Zerg a big window where they can go queens. Mech switches, you're not actually completely sure they're doing the mech switch right away. So adding the queens in is a little bit harder. And sometimes you already have things like science vessels to hurt that transition, that type of thing. Now, more queens are being made, but we don't see queen upgrades as of yet. But a lot of queens are being made. So he is getting into that. Royal with another base down here. Makes sense. I think at this point it might make sense as well to just sit the bio somewhere defensive. Like, well, he's got mines here, but like I wouldn't mind seeing a bioforce here. This is okay, but you might be able to slip some lings in or something down there, but he does have the mines, so maybe he can react to that. Now, Vulture's trying to run by. Wow, he's actually going to get a lot of drones with this, it's looking like. So anytime you can trade Vultures at this point for drones is going to be absolutely fantastic. Going to continue to rotate around, killing off a lot of these drones. Has Soma down to 45. By the way, back at home does have 3 add-ons and is going for 3 2-mech upgrades. He only has 6 factors. Oh, okay, there it is. 7 factors. Okay, 7 factors with 4 add-ons. That's kind of crazy. He's going to have a lot of siege tanks. We're going to have to assume he already has that Goliath range. A couple more factories on the way being built up here because, again, the building placement is really, really tough in these bases. Obviously, he could have done a slightly better job, but it wasn't the case here. A little stim attack into this base. Once again, breaking those sunkens earlier really is paying off. Wow, going to break that as well. The queen's not yet ready, that's for sure. And the Bioforce is going to be able to get down here and actually attack into this bio. Oh my gosh, and Royal's just going to take the game right there. I got to say, like, I think... Oh, he doesn't actually have that range upgrade. But I got to say, I think that Soma didn't... he didn't recognize it was a mech switch for quite some time. I think... Okay, here's a little minor take on it. Like, I hadn't thought of this before, but remember when he saw the first Valkyrie and he tried the first Valkyrie push? I think if you see something like that, you have to assume mech switch right now. I've talked about this in a lot of games that I've casted in this matchup about how Valkyries are, like, anytime you make Valkyries in this matchup right now, with a, like, if you open Marine Medic and you go into Valkyrie, you're basically all in as Terran. The one case where that wouldn't be true is if it's a mech switch. So, like, as soon as your Lurker upgrade is done, if they have made a Valkyrie, you already know that you are super far ahead. Like, they are not going to have many opportunities to get you. So you should really, really double check and make sure that it's like, okay, are they just going to try to, like, mass dropship me? Or are they going to try to mech? Because those are the only 2 paths to victory once you have Lurkers up with... against Valkyries. So, yeah, I just actually kind of came up with that, but that sounds completely correct to me. Anyways, there you go. There you have it. It is tied up 3-3. That means tomorrow we will decide who is going to win this best of 7. Thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.